Good morning, everyone. My name is Dijksman, and I'm the Chief Executive of Big Data Company. It's a software company, a small software company located in the Netherlands. And first of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this conference for inviting me to speak here and to speak to you about the challenges of large organizations to turn data, into information. And for tomorrow, if you have any questions left, of course you will get my slides. And tomorrow I will be having office hours as well. So if you have any questions, you can address them to me tomorrow. So let me start by explaining a little more about myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm 31 years old now. I'm an entrepreneur for like 15 years now. I started studying informatics and math. But to be honest, it was a little bit too difficult for me. So I ended up studying public administration. Don't hope I blame any civil servants here, because it's a very professional job, of course, but it's not, I wish to be, in the end, everybody knows this diagram, I guess. This morning it was already mentioned, programming skills, math skills, business skills, and in the middle, of course, the so-called unicorn. And if you want to position me in this diagram, I'm located here. Yeah, well, the dark horse, so to say. And I advise large organizations on the Internet of Things and blockchain technique and big data, obviously. And that's my role of today. So, again, I will tell you a little bit more about Big Data Company, but most of all, I would like to show a demonstration at the end of my presentation of what we built together with the municipality of Utrecht. It's the fourth largest municipality in the Netherlands. And we created a monitor which will actually predict the heartbeat, the pulse of the neighborhood. So I will explain more about that later on. So the structure of my presentation I have to do it, but I will address the governmental organization and how it is in the Dutch situation. Secondly, I will talk a little more about the problem of data with large organizations. And thirdly, I would like to address the way we are helping these organizations to get a hold of their data. And this section will also include the demonstration. And finally, I will give a short overview of the new ways we are working together and cooperate with large organizations, such as local government, in an agile way. But the former presenter already told a little bit about it as well. So let me start with the Dutch government, because we have one central government and we have 12 different provinces. And in the whole country we have like 393 different municipalities. And that's important to know, because a lot of responsibilities, mostly in the social domain, are decentralized from the national government to a lower local level to the municipalities. And it's focused on three different areas in that social policy domain. The first is youth policy. So you have to think about housing associations, drug counseling, finance, and we actually have a product which predicts domestic violence. Second thing is work and income, so get people employed and debt support. These are responsibilities of the government, of the municipality now. And the third is services for a person with disabilities. And you have to think about home care, nursing, daycare, and other things. Really important, again, what I just mentioned, the municipalities in the Netherlands are responsible for this together with different partners. So they need to help citizens find work and stay employed. Also stimulating broad participation from citizens. And provide, that's the most important thing for my talk for today, provide active support when and where required. Well, but that's a hell of a job. How to provide active support when and where required. So we would like to know, what are the care needs in the neighborhood? How self-sufficient is a neighborhood? And what are the so-called capabilities already of that neighborhood? And where should the government jump in, or let it controlled by the neighbors itself? The second thing is, which expertise is needed? When and where and how does your team of social workers look? And this is of course this is an example of a government, but I can imagine this is normal business for a lot of organizations nowadays. And also, what is the effectiveness of interventions we are doing? What are the costs of those interventions? Because we know one thing for sure, municipalities won't get more money, so they need to use their resources in a better and more efficient way than they used to have. So again, these are three very important responsibilities for these municipalities, and they are at the wit's end at the moment, because they need information. They have a lot of data, but we need information. But as we all know, with large organizations, the problem is they contain their data, they store their data in all kinds of old-fashioned ways, in silos, so to say. So if they look at a problem, and that's the second thing I would like to mention, they're always looking at a very one-dimensional view to the data. But what they really need is a more multi-dimensional and more integrated view and more context-driven view on a particular social problem. And of course, not only with their internal data, but with structured and unstructured data. The third problem I would like to demonstrate is the large interval of data points. So we do a lot of reporting with municipalities, and I think every government organization is good at it. But for example, we have in the Netherlands, we have the health service report, and it's a biannual report. So only every 2 years we will get information. And those intervals are much too large. Because what we can see here is we see a trend going upwards, but we cannot see what's happening between those points. And most of the time, that's really important information to actually intervene and come up with new solutions. So what we're used to hindsight. So we have the ability to reflect on information in the past. But what we actually need is more insights. So we can actually interpret and respond to the present. And we would like to have more foresight, the ability to predict and prepare for the future. And that's really important for large organizations, for municipality in particular, to fulfill their responsibilities they're facing right now in the Netherlands. So I went to the city manager of Utrecht. Well, to be honest, I went to a lot of city managers. But in the end, Utrecht, I told them, because I'm really confident, big data will help you with your challenges, or could help you with your challenges. So big data was, 2 years ago, a big buzz. Oh, big data, yes, sure, we need to have it. We must have it. And the moment when it sank in, the realization was, whoa, what? Now what? You know, this is a passage of Finding Nemo. But where to start? Was the reflex of the organization. And it's a good question, because the current big data landscape is looking something like this. In all these different areas of infrastructure, analytics, data platforms, applications, etc., there are tons of different solutions. And a civil servant, they just want a solution for the social problem, and they can do something with big data. So what we did, together with a couple of large organizations, we created a platform to organize this. And the platform is roughly like this. So it's more an end-to-end solution for overcoming these problems with scraping, crawling data from all kinds of different sources. Storage the data, real-time data, but also batch data, analyze the data, and in the end visualize the data. And I will explain a little more about this one and to analyze the data. And I went with a demonstration of the application which is running now in Utrecht. And in this way, by not giving them a solution in technical sense, but more in just they just have to think about the content. Those large organizations will be prepared for the new task and operate more in a data-driven way as a data-driven organization, and that's what we in the end what we want. So again, I will elaborate on the data input. For example, in the Netherlands, we have Funda. And Funda is a site where all the houses, where people can buy and sell their houses, are marked on. And really important for large organizations is they have to focus their mindset not only on their internal data, but also on the data which is everywhere at the moment. So you have to be really creative in that sense. So one of the things we thought of, maybe we can measure how many people sell or buy houses in particular areas, and maybe it says something about social cohesion, for instance. Another example is Nextdoor. It's famous in the United States, and it's a private social network for the neighborhood. And there are all kinds of messages on this. So maybe it says something about how vibrant a community is. In the Netherlands we have peer-buy, where people can lend or borrow tools from each other, so you don't have to buy them all by yourselves. And again, maybe it says something about the resilience of your community. And they've been a couple of times to this conference as well, United Nations Global Pulse. They predict unemployment, spikes in unemployment by using tweets from people. So you can also use social media for a lot of new insights. And then, of course, you also have the sensor data, the Internet of Things. So everything is connected with the Internet. And I have an example of that sensor data.
Inhalers to relieve asthma and COPD symptoms. How often a person uses their inhaler indicates how well their disease is managed. The propeller sensor is a small device that attaches easily to most inhalers. It automatically determines the time and location when the inhaler is used, because revealing where people use their inhalers provides valuable clues about environmental exposures that cause attacks. Our FDA-cleared mobile solution helps patients, physicians, and public health agencies systematically manage COPD and asthma in real time, so they can put the latest information to work to better understand and control respiratory disease.
So this is just one example of citizens who are actually the sensors of pollution in your neighborhood and how they use it. There's also something called place meter. I think it's quite cool. Just with a really easy, simple mobile camera, you can actually, with their algorithm, you can actually see how many people are passing by different stores and different windows of stores. But you can also see what kind of traffic is going through your street. And this is all anonymous information, but the thing is, with a lot of sensors, in the end we can combine that information and actually see how vibrant a community or a city or a neighborhood is. So to come back to this street of big data, of the big data platform, then we have how we analyze the information, and I would like to elaborate a little bit more on this, because we have different ways to turn data into information. And one of the things is, together with, you cannot read it, but I will read it out loud for you. One of the important things is we have different parameters. So in the end, together with experts, we define a specific domain, and a domain contains different indicators. And each indicator contains different parameters. And these parameters are records of different data sources. So it could be all kind of unstructured or structured data sources we will use. Later on, you will see this in the demonstration. But together with the experts, we define which parameters we need for which indicator and how the indicators relate to the domain. So we create formulas between these different layers to actually to create a dashboard with domains and the information of the domains. And they will decide which weight a specific parameter has for a specific indicator, and so on. Next to this, next to the view of the experts, because they have a lot of expertise, and we need that expertise to view it and to have it on our... we also have a data-driven method, and we're using deep learning technologies, deep learning techniques to actually decide, based on data, what the weight of different of these different formulas and parameters will have. And last but not least, we are also looking at the needle in the haystack. We have a kind of explorative research in the data, and we use all kind of different machine learning techniques. So these are actually the three different forms, different ways we analyze the data. So I would like to show you the presentation, the demonstration of the application, which is running right now there, and people are using at the moment. Again, these are some municipalities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague are some municipalities which are using it right now. Here you see the city of Utrecht, and here you will see the different domains I just mentioned. So a domain, for instance, is work and income or youth and education. Here you see different indicators, and each indicator contains different parameters. And those parameters will come from, again, from all kind of different sources. Not only the internal data, not just one data set, but it can be tons of different data sets. And you see the lines, the information at the bottom of these different, of in time, and also the prediction to the future of how these lines will go on. To give an example of work and income, you see here unemployment, and you see debt, for instance. You will see the information in this screen. So there are a lot of problems in this area, and a couple of problems in this area. So if you click on it, you can actually see it on a neighborhood level, what the situation is. And again, if you click on it, you will also have information about the context, because what is really important with the new way of big data, using all kinds of data, is in a different context you will need a different solution as well. So that's really important. And we also using all kinds of social media to actually see the pulse, to measure the pulse of the neighborhood. So this is an example of, so they can decide what kind of teams or expertise they need in what neighborhood, and they can measure the effectiveness of their interventions. And this is all real-time data from multiple sources. And we can add more sources all the time. So it's always in beta, so to say. Well, to finalize with how we work, the new way we cooperate with large organizations, and again, the former speaker just mentioned something about it as well. We have the core application, so to say. You already saw this picture. But what we do together with the municipality of Utrecht, we have a small rapid prototyping team. Where we identify problems, we do it data-driven or based on just a question, a hypothesis of a customer, and we create a concept idea. And then we go to the minimum viable product phase, where, of course, this is the lean startup method. Again, you have heard a lot about it, I think, where we do function and designing, build actual prototype, test and measure and learn. But the most important thing is we have to do it at high speed, with high quality, and with low cost. Those are the three important things. And if our launching partners are satisfied, we will make it a version 1.0, and for the implementation, we will get maintenance in control. We do data governance and stakeholder management. Well, to finalize, what we did is we build a roadmap together with the customer. So for everyone, we make it visible for the whole organization what we're doing and which features we are building. And since they are hosting the Tour de France this year, Utrecht, we have sprints to each new feature. And the feature we're building now is with the Oculus Rift to have that information implemented in Google Street View. So from the city hall you can walk through your neighborhoods and see actually what's happening over there. Well, this was my talk. To recap, I presented you with common problems for large organizations. I showed you the way we have let big data work. For Dutch local government in this example. And if any questions are left, you can address them to me tomorrow. And thank you very much for your attention.